Welcome to the Soldier Athlete Farmer podcast. I'm Jeff Strong, and this is a space for men who want to grow strong in body, mind, and spirit. We use Paul's metaphors in 2 Timothy chapter 2 to connect discipleship with life-giving masculinity. And today we're talking about one of the most powerful tools we have as leaders and followers of Jesus, and that is our words. Ephesians 4:29 says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." The older I get, the more I recognize that every word we speak is consequential. There really aren't any neutral exchanges. We're ultimately either in a process of construction or demolition, right? We're building something. We're building confidence, trust, belonging, or we're tearing something down. Courage, connection, hope. I've been watching this dynamic play out through my daughter, Kara. She is part of a volleyball team where encouragement isn't just a generic team value. It's actually part of the culture. And Kara is the lead encourager. Kara's always had this very genuine, relentless positivity about her. It's not fake at all. It's not flaky. She doesn't hype up people with empty words. Her encouragement is real. It is specific. It is consistent. And it's well-timed. And when you think about that word, encourage, breaking it down, it means to place courage inside of someone. And I see her doing that, especially during intense, consequential games. And you can see what it does, right? It brings out the best in the people around her. We've noticed for a few years now that when Kara's on the court, there is a psychologically stabilizing force, presence that she brings. And it's like the players around her are just able to relax into, okay, we've got this. And I think a lot of that comes from the encouragement that Kara weaves into all of her exchanges with her teammates between plays. Now, that being said, you can observe the opposite dynamic at these sporting tournaments, right? There are coaches especially who can seem constantly frustrated, right? Every mistake becomes a moment of venting. Every correction is delivered with anger, maybe even sarcasm, and you can feel the energy on the entire team drop. You can watch after players have gotten talking to. You can see them withdraw a little bit, second guess. There's more hesitancy. They're definitely not able to reset into a flow state, right? What's happening is the team is being discouraged. They're having courage taken out of them. Persistent criticism, it doesn't produce excellence. It just produces fear and a hesitancy to show up. It makes you focus on what you're not doing instead of being able to genuinely reset and think about the next play. And the power of our words, in some ways, is on display in those kind of athletic arenas, but it's also on display within our families and workplaces and churches and schools, right? Our words set the tone for an entire environment. They facilitate a certain kind of culture. And when there's genuine, consistent encouragement, you build connection and belonging. And consistent criticism breeds anxiety, a sense of disconnection, a hesitancy to share your own heart and what's happening. Good leaders, good disciples learn to practice encouragement. Now, for some, encouragement might be associated with kind of these very flaky, flowery, like, oh, you're amazing, everything's amazing. No, no, no. Encouragement isn't about ignoring reality, right? It's framing what actually might be the case, including weaknesses or areas of growth within a larger story of growth and hope. So it's not saying, oh, you're amazing, everything you do is awesome, you have no room to improve or grow. No, encouragement says, hey, you've got work to do, we've got work to do, but we can do this together. God is with us, we're growing, we can move forward in the confidence that he who began a good work in us will see it through to completion. And so encouragement recognizes reality. It doesn't surrender to a kind of cynical criticism. It recognizes that there's an arc to the story, and it bends towards victory and joy and overcoming challenges. Right? It calls people forward and upward instead of making them focus on where they're stuck or why they're stuck. And so for followers of Jesus, and for us as men especially, I think encouragement, I think we have to see it not as something that is like nice to do, but as a kind of spiritual discipline. We have to learn and grow in our ability to deeply and genuinely encourage one another, right? We need to learn the language of grace. We need to use our words to strengthen other people, right? Because encouragement changes the atmosphere and the culture of a home, a workplace, a team. And often it just takes one person to be that spark. I've seen that with Kara in different contexts where the culture wasn't a culture of encouragement. And just having one person who can show up differently and wholeheartedly and place courage in people around them. The change isn't instant, but it happens pretty rapidly. Right? And encouragement is so important for those who've only known criticism. A well-placed word of encouragement can heal years of discouragement. It can invigorate and breathe hope back into someone who's forgotten what it feels like to believe in themselves, to trust that God has given them strengths, and to be confident and excited about those strengths and your ability to bring them to bear in the context, whether it's, again, your studies or this athletic event or this relationship. So if you're listening to this, if you're a coach, if you're a parent, you're a player, you're a team captain, or just someone trying to follow Jesus in your relationships and needing a discipline that you can practice every day that will have a huge and consequentially positive effect in your relationships, learn to grow in encouragement. Use your words to build, to restore, and to place courage in other people. So who in your life right now needs encouragement? Look around, be intentional. Look for someone who's weighed down by criticism or discouragement, and how can you use your words this week to build them up, to benefit them? When we speak words that build, we echo the voice of Christ himself, because he is the one who speaks life and restores hope and calls people into God's best and their best. So speak words of grace and power and encouragement today. Build people up. Place courage in others.